Hi everyone and welcome to this webinar with Installer, Elemental and Nibe. We're here with Paul Smith, who's Manager Director at Nibe. Welcome Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, thanks for having me. And us.
Just a bit of housekeeping before we start. So we're going to run through this session. Over there on the right is the comment section. If you have any questions or comments as we go, it'd be great to hear from you. Pop it there where it says say something nice, or there's a Q&A button, which looks like a question mark and a speech bubble. So pop them there and we'll get back to you in the chat. So just a bit of an intro. So Paul, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Nibe, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the Managing Director here of Nibe UK. I've been with the business for just over 7 months. Prior to that, nice. I was with Carrier as Commercial Director for 7 years. And really my role here is to make sure that we continue the good work as to what Nibe has been synonymous for in the UK previously, but also to set the long range plan, the vision, the mission and the strategy to gear us up for the future.
Yeah, very exciting times as well, isn't it, in the industry? So
it sure is.
What are we looking at in today's kind of session?
So today we'll be hearing from product management about our product portfolio and how we plan to tackle the ever-changing UK market. We'll hear from our marketing department. We'll hear from training, which is an integral part of what we do, and a few others as well. So really we're here today to talk about all different aspects of the Nibe business, the journey that we've been on and the journey that we're going on.
No, perfect. It's all like we said, it's very heat pump, how to get to mass adoption, how to train and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting session. So could you describe Nibe and its current offering in the UK in like a nutshell overview, please?
I'm not quite sure I can do it in a nutshell because it's quite expansive, but we're synonymous really with innovation in the UK, performance and quality, and that's something that we've done quite well in the past and something that we're looking to do in the future. Heat pumps are really what we do. It's what we are, and we've got a really rich and proud history and heritage both in the UK market and also in the European market as a sole heat pump manufacturer. In terms of the product offering and the product portfolio, it's really quite expansive, but we cover all types, air source, which is very prevalent, but also ground source and our really innovative exhaust air products. But products really are only a part of what we do. We continue to be market leaders in the upskilling of the industry, whether you're a gas installer looking to install that first heat pump, or whether you're already a heat pump installer and you're looking to become a real expert. And Nibe has always been about having the resource capability and the ambition to upskill the market both now and in the future. And then, of course, lastly, the customer service piece as well is key. Customers are at the heart of what we do. Whoever that customer is, a homeowner, an installer, it's comprehensive support that we offer. So as I said, not quite a nutshell, but the offer is quite expansive and the situation is quite diverse that we're in Nibe UK.
And then, yeah, as a heat pump manufacturer, you kind of need to be firing on all of those cylinders, don't you? You need to have the good products available. You have to have the training to help train people up. You have to have the tech support for if there's anything that goes wrong or if there's any questions. And you have to have the installer communications, the customer communications. You have to get all of that right, which is a lot, isn't it, to be fair?
Yeah, there's lots of different parts to the wheel, and any one of those parts don't work, then your business doesn't work. So it's really important that all of those key functions in the business are in place, or we put them in place. But not only for this particular moment in time, we have to be ready for the heat pump market to become mature in the UK, which it will do with our help.
And then it's a Swedish company. It was started in Sweden, and obviously a lot more heat pumps in Sweden, a lot cooler climate in Sweden, but obviously different housing stock and stuff like that. They're a lot further down this path than we are in the UK. So what kind of learnings can we take from Sweden, the Swedish models, the Swedish products to help the UK on its mass market heat pump rollout adoption?
Yeah, it's a good question, and to me and to us, Sweden is to heat pumps really what Germans are to cars. It's synonymous with performance, with quality, with that efficiency, and we do need to remember that Nibe products have been keeping the coldest parts of Europe warm now for 40 years. So as I said, it's not new to us. It is who we are, and it is what we do. So Nibe in the UK, and also being part of a multi-billion-pound brand well equipped to ensure that we're at the forefront of that transition to sustainable heating in the UK market.
And then we've got Liv Downing, who's head of marketing at Nibe. Liv, can you tell us a bit about your work at Nibe, please?
Yeah, sure. So this is my second stint at Nibe. I was here for a couple of years, obviously left for a few months and came back to be part of the fun. I am responsible for anything to do with brand communications and marketing and growing the Nibe brand in the UK. It's a real exciting plans to do that. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. It's good to be back.
And then where do you think the heat pump market in the UK is heading?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think the UK market is only going to go up. It's kind of the ambitious targets that the government set us, for kind of the carbon reduction. And I think that, they're very ambitious, but I do think all that's going to do is it's going to have to fuel the heat pump market. We can't carry on being reliant on fossil fuels for so long. I think that also there is already a focus, and I think that's starting to show even more and will continue towards energy efficiency as well, because obviously with an energy crisis, kind of we're still in, that's really important. And so there's things like kind of the smart controls and things like that are very important, and obviously the fabric of your building as well. And I think that things like policy, funding, all those sort of elements, they have to happen. I do think more needs to be done, but I think they absolutely have to happen, and they will.
Yeah, because you've got those carbon targets are legally binding. You've got that big 600,000 figure. Is there more confidence in the market than maybe there was 5 years ago? Because these are set. So for installers, it's like, it's not just saying, oh, the heat pump market's going to grow. It's going to grow to this by then. Is there a bit more confidence as a manufacturer and as installers? Yeah,
I mean, obviously we see more confidence. I do think more needs to be done by the government. I think there needs to be more incentives. Obviously we've got things like the heat training grant, but the funding that's allowed isn't masses, and is spread quite thinly. And we could do so much more. And we're really passionate ensuring that these installs, that heat pump installs, are done really well. Hence why we really train our installers and make sure that that's one of the kind of the main things that we make sure when we sell to somebody is that they're trained by us. And I think that is there more confidence in the market? Yes, but I still think there's a concern for how achievable that really is, that number.
So then for installers who, some of them are going to be early adopters, some of them might be wait and sees, some of them might be like a bit older and might just be like, I can see out
don't want to do that.
The next two don't want to do that. But then at some point you're going to have to choose a manufacturer to partner with. So what is the kind of the difference between the Nibe offering and maybe some of the others?
Well, so I always say Nibe sometimes can be a bit of the best kept secret. Nibe is actually the largest heat pump manufacturer in Europe. So it's a big global company, obviously founded in 1952 in Sweden. I mean, where's colder than Sweden? The first heat pump was actually an exhaust air heat pump, which is now in this country we're the innovators of, but was actually made in the 1980s. So it's been going, it's been manufacturing these things, these heating technology for years. And is global and all over Europe, obviously, and in other countries as well. We have a really good product range. So, we have things like the air source, tick, ground source, tick. Exhaust air is another really exciting exciting type of heat pump that, we haven't really seen in the UK market before Nibe brought it in. And we have obviously our new one, which is in the S series, which has just come out last year. And then we have things like PVT as well that work with ground source when you haven't got enough room for the boreholes. You can use the PVT. That's fantastic. I'm really excited by that. I think it's really, really great technology as well. There's a real focus on efficiency. Swedish efficiency, a bit like Swiss efficiency. Swedish efficiency is very important. So you can see it in the factory, the way it's manufactured. You can see it in the products. It's absolutely there. And also sustainability. At Nibe's core is sustainability. Again, being a Swedish manufacturer, I mean, this behind me, this picture is the picture of the lake at Markaryd, which is literally where the factory is. And it's a beautiful surroundings, and they're really, really very empathetic to their surroundings in everything that they do. and you know, obviously high standards and things like that goes without saying. And then in the UK, I think also as I said before, we've really focused on supporting installers and training installers. You know, we were running this sort of training and trying to get people through their MCS. We've been doing it probably before a lot of others have, a lot of the manufacturers have. So it's really part of our core. Our Nibe Pro installers, cut them in half, and I hope they've got a Nibe logo in them. That's what we want, and that's what, you know, that's what we like. We like to make sure that they understand our products, they understand the way we work, and we can work with them, and we support them every way from the day they decide to become a heat pump installer all the way through their journey.
And like you said, it's not kind of, we talk about this being new technology, but it's not new technology.
It's not.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly, but I think you know, boiler installers are sometimes they kind of they know what they know, and it's great, and I understand that, I totally understand it, and yeah, they're absolute engineers, and I think it's getting your head around the fact that it's not massively different technology, really, and actually it can be done. You know, we have a product training course, a one-day product training course. You know, I would encourage installers to come and have a go at that. Doesn't mean they have to go through MCS. They can just come and try it, see what it's like, and maybe they might like it. You never know.
And so are there any lessons that we can learn from Europe? Obviously, Swedish manufacturer, very cold. They've been using this technology for years. In the UK, the adoption is slower, and it's slower than some of the other counterparts as well, like France and like Germany, things like that. Is there anything that we can essentially just steal over here that you think would help with the adoption?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe the weather in Spain, I don't know, but but as far as heat pumps go, I think you know, within Europe, that in a lot of the countries, you know, Germany's one, that they've had really robust government support and incentives, really robust, and they've really put them in there. I think that they've implemented really good subsidy programs that, you know, we've got bus, you know, it's there, it's obviously doing well and, you know, going well now, but it's been a slow uptake. And is it enough? Is it enough? That's what I keep asking myself. You know, is it enough? You got the clean heat market mechanism, which is obviously going to, you know, anything that's going to help implement heat pumps is great. But actually raising boiler prices alone isn't enough. You know, there's got to be a focus on actually allowing people to install heat pumps in their homes. That's really kind of at the key of it, I think. Obviously, we've got the future home standard, which is something that we're doing in the UK, and they've got standards in Europe. That's really very much welcomed, and I think that's going to be really interesting to see. I think that's going to have a good effect on the market. And I think the other thing that and some of it within Europe is about places like Sweden, where they've had this technology for years. And you talk to them about people in, you know, if I speak to my Swedish colleagues about how the people in the UK kind of not so keen on heat pumps, and they can't understand it because a lot of them have grown up with it. I think what they've done and what other countries where it's slightly newer technology have done, they've done really well on kind of raising public awareness. So the government have done a lot of work on that. I feel the UK government have probably put it more on us as an industry to do the myth busting, and therefore what you get is you get a bit of myths, as I said, and you get a bit of misinformation. So we're trying to work really hard as a responsible manufacturer to make sure that we're going out there and busting some of those myths. And I think that's kind of the way that we'll combat that. But I do think that the UK government could learn a little bit from other governments and actually do a bit of that awareness themselves if they're going to reach their targets.
But then, like you said, for installers and for kind of your specifiers and your local authorities and all that, they are being encouraged in different ways to make the switch to this sort of technology. So at some point in the next 10 years, you're probably going to be fitting heat pumps if you are an installation company.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Well, I do think, though, that's when it comes back to awareness, because, you know, even on the specification side, you know, there are people who've not really worked with heat pumps so much, and actually there is a bit of a reluctance, and there is a responsibility as us as an industry, and I feel as the government as well, there's a bit of a responsibility to actually make sure that everybody understands it. Because also what we don't want to do is go to a day which, you know, basically things aren't installed properly. I guess when we first saw heat pumps way back when, that happened quite a bit, and we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that they're installed properly. People think about the fabric as well, and the high efficiency heat pumps, and they understand how they work so they can spec a system in the right way. And I think that's really important. And again, I think that's what happens in Europe. And it's starting to change here. We're on a journey, we'll get there, but we just need a little bit more of a push perhaps from the government sometimes.
Right, so we're here with Rick Clark, who's product manager at Nibe. Rick, can you tell us a bit about your role, please?
Yeah, okay, so product manager at Nibe, I am in charge of the full life cycle of all of our products, which is the full suite of heat pumps. So that ranges from air source heat pumps that most people would understand and know, through to ground source heat pumps, and then the range of exhaust air heat pumps that we also sell in the UK.
Do you focus on domestic or commercial, or bits of both? Have you got like a sector that you work on?
It's primarily domestic, I would say, the products as a whole. However, a lot of the products we offer can either be quite easily integrated into a commercial, light industrial setting. And in particular, the ground source products, we go quite high on the outputs. So several of them would be classed as a sort of semi-commercial, if not sort of, commercial product.
And then you obviously get residential products, but on like bigger scales, like housing associations, local authorities and all that. It's a domestic product and it's going into a house, but you're doing like 100 of them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's always capability to sort of bank or cascade them together. So what may be a 10 kilowatt sort of domestic size heat pump can then be cascaded up to 10, and that gives you that that large output capability for things like colleges, schools, projects like that.
So pretty much, do you think that in the whole repertoire that you've got, like heat pumps would be would suit pretty much any house anywhere in the UK, any application, any building, that sort of stuff?
Good question. The short answer would be yes, potentially, but it's like anything. The key is always system design, really. Something that I think is being spoken about more and more. So the heat pump is the heat pump. It'll do what you ask of it. Is the system capable? So is the property capable? Yes, potentially, but then the system's probably more important, I would say. So regardless of the building, as long as the system is correctly designed and installed, then the heat pump should work fine.
And then for installers, so what kind of things do they need to be aware of? Are there any big things coming down in the pipeline? What is kind of your advice for installers who are watching this thinking, where do I go next, or what do I need to be aware of?
Okay, I'd probably say that the big thing to keep an eye on is, excuse me, smart technology and connectivity. I think that's where the whole industry is going for some consultations at, some really interesting stuff being done by manufacturers, including ourselves. The capability to monitor your heat pump from remotely. If you're sat on the beach, for example, you can check. Not that you would want to, but you can now check what your heat pump's up to. Is it running? What sort of efficiencies it's currently working to? And that then leads on to essentially squeezing the efficiencies out of these systems. If you can monitor that, you can log that information, you can then break it down to the nth degree, and you can really ensure that these systems are as efficient as they can be. And there's quite a swell in the industry at the minute with like a trend of monitoring and almost trying to outdo each other. There's charts and guys online always constantly trying to outdo each other. And I think that's really pushing the industry on. So yeah, I think that's the main thing people need to keep an eye on. I would say something else is the move in the refrigerants that we're using as well. There's a big push to the natural refrigerants, low GWPs, global warming potential. So a big part of this industry, the reason we're doing this is essentially to save the planet, for want of a better terminology, and the reduction in harmful refrigerants is a huge push, a huge part of that.
So is that your R290s and those ones as well? Yeah,
so it sort of starts with your R32 product at a much reduced GWP, and then you start to go to your fully natural refrigerant R290, which with the GWP of 3 is pretty much the pinnacle, certainly in the domestic market, that we're going to get to. Yeah, and that's where everyone's working towards.
So installers kind of need to be aware of that, don't they? When they're specifying these products, they need to be aware that it's got the lowest GWP. It's probably going to be future proof as well, whereas some of the other ones are going to move on to the R290. So you want to be putting in R290 now.
Yeah, I'd say definitely being aware of it. It's perhaps not the main driving force, and maybe shouldn't be, because different situations require different solutions. Yeah. So it's not always going to be the main driving force. I just think it's something that's well worth keeping your eye on, and seeing how the industry improves and technology advances. But I think R290 is the future, definitely.
And then we kind of spoke about this. We've spoken about this before on other webinars and things like that, with yourselves and with like the heat pump association and things like that. But the upfront cost of a heat pump compared to a different system is higher, and you have to explain a lot of that to the customer. So what are your kind of key advice for installers to overcome this barrier if they just say, you know, this is going to cost X, this is going to cost Y, I'm going to go with X because it's cheaper?
I think there's a few different ways to look at it and a few sort of perhaps key points to consider when you're talking about this. So yes, generally the install cost is a lot higher than a gas boiler, for example, when you're installing a heat pump. But the what you're looking at is a long-term picture. So the reduced bills that you're going to get from a well-designed, well-installed system over the lifetime of the product, and in particular, if you're a high-efficiency product like the Nibe range, that's going to result, in quite significant savings over the lifetime of the install and the system as a whole. I think then when you look at and you combine that with the potential durability, reliability as well of the products now, you know, heat pumps are being cited as lasting up to sort of 20, 25 years now. So that's a long time. It's quite a big improvement on majority of the gas boilers that are out there. You combine that with sort of minimal maintenance, minimal sort of issues with the products as a whole, and I think that gives a potential long-term saving to customers. Again, it adds to that saving and you know, a real long-term peace of mind for customers as well. I think there's also an environmental, we sort of touched on it before, an environmental aspect to keep in mind as well, that, you know, the end picture is to reduce carbon emissions. That's what we're doing this for, really, when it comes right down to it. We've all got to meet that Kyoto Agreement 2050. Up to 80% reduction is what's generally cited when you install a heat pump in comparison to a fossil fuel boiler. So it's quite a massive potential reduction in carbon footprint. So when you look at that and you start looking over the lifetime of the product, I think that's a real big driver for the majority of the people out there these days. Everybody wants to play their part. Everybody wants to help with the reduction. And I think that's the only way we're going to get there.
Rick, you spoke about obviously the suite of products that Nibe works with. When we talk about heat pumps, or when you see heat pumps, like in the mainstream news, it tends to be air to water, but there are other different systems as well, air to air, like you mentioned, ground source, and exhaust air. Exhaust air probably isn't one that we talk about in the industry as much as some of the others. Could you just explain what those systems look like?
Yeah, it's a good point, because yeah, you're right. It doesn't seem to get mentioned, certainly in the mainstay of heat pump products. The funny thing about that is Nibe as a company have been manufacturing exhaust air heat pumps with an R290 inside, the R290 refrigerant since 1998. So it's a long time. Yeah, this new refrigerant that everyone's talking about has actually been around quite a while, and Nibe have been using it since then. So there's a similarity can be drawn between the exhaust air product and an air source sort of monoblock product, as we tend to refer to in the UK, and that's the most common product that's installed. The main difference the sort of commonality would be they both use air to create the heating and hot water for a property. That would be the commonality, but the difference is, unlike an air source heat pump installed outside, requires an outside space, and then draws the outside air in it to create the heat via the refrigeration cycle. An exhaust air heat pump uses the internal air. So it's that's the main difference. So you're drawing air from inside the property, what's generally regarded as the sort of wet air, the wet warm air from your kitchens, your bathrooms, you know, the condensation you get when you have a shower, that's drawn into the heat pump, and that latent heat inside there is what's used to drive the heat through the product and ultimately goes into your heating and hot water. Is
that better than for indoor air quality as well? Would you need less ventilation because it's essentially ventilating for you?
Yeah, there's a big push, especially new build, for Part F is a big part of the regulations now, and Part O also is overheating, is becoming this increasingly popular part of the. I say popular, it's not popular at all, but it's got to be paid attention to, is more what it is. Yeah, it's causing people some trouble, but that's quite a big part of the building regs now. So. Natural ventilation, you know, forced air ventilation, you've got to have a ventilation minimum rate on Part F, and then you've got to have extra potentially depending on the way the building's been built, and to cool it back down with Part O. Exhaust air pretty much ticks all those boxes. Again, a well-designed system in the right property. It's a very impressive product. Gives that movement of air. Can also give real strong purge ventilation in the evening. So you get that nice natural movement of air in the property, and it draws fresh air in as well via the ventilation. So it's a really nice property, a really nice product. Sorry, for sort of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments in the UK, smaller new build houses. We think it's basically the ideal product.
And then for installers who need to know all these options, they need to know, you know, what systems work best in what applications and all that sort of stuff. You just, like you said, you'll hear heat pump, but it's not, they're not all the same, not all the applications are the same, not all the systems are the same. What's the kind of advice? Is it to talk to you guys, get booked on a training course, and you can run through all this sort of stuff?
100%. Yeah, it's always the best way. Talk to us, then either we can recommend you a Nibe Pro installer, or if you've already got an installer, if they're not Nibe Pro, get them to talk to us either via the customer or themselves, direct contact. We can get them trained up, get them trained on the product portfolio, and that's really where the journey starts from. That's where we can train them to understand how to select the correct product for the correct property, for the correct solution. And to be honest, we talk about this sort of stuff a lot, but I think what often gets forgotten is, what's the customer want? What do they need? How do they want to run their heating system in their house? Is it going to suit their lifestyle and their needs? And I do think that gets forgotten, unfortunately, a lot of the time. Poor customer at the end who's paying the money. But yeah, and we give them the facility, the ability to be able to quote for these jobs, to be able to understand the systems and pick the one that's correct. As everyone often refers to, there's no silver bullet for decarbonisation. All of these products are going to be needed in some sort of in different properties.
And we've got Graham as well. Graham, can you explain your role at Nibe, please?
I'm head of installer development at Nibe, so I oversee our customer journey for new heat pump installers in the industry, those looking to get into it, as well as long-standing veterans of it that want to become Nibe-specific installers, what we call Nibe Pro partners. So Nibe Pro is our installer partnership scheme, where with long-standing heat pump installers, or also new heat pump installers that have come through our Nibe Training Academy and are now MCS certified, are our approved installers, where they will carry extended warranties and all of the benefits of working with Nibe. It's kind of like most manufacturers have a loyalty scheme, but we try and actually build a partnership instead, where we can be useful to them in supporting them with projects, supporting them with knowledge. And if they're very new to the industry, they might need a bit of hand holding as well, as they get used to new technologies, as well as the joys of understanding MCS compliance and everything else. So we just try to be useful, basically, and build good working relationships together.
Yeah, like you said, that you've obviously got customers that have been fitting heat pumps in the UK for decades, and then you've got brand new people who are gas engineers who are looking to transition. So what are the kind of steps to get onto Nibe Pro if you are in that kind of latter category of you're looking into heat pumps rather than you've been doing it from day dot?
Yeah, so with, say, transition customers is probably a good way of describing them. We put together, previously it was called Nibe Pro. It had the same name as the partnership scheme. We now call it part of Nibe Academy, and basically we put together a training package to put everything that's needed to become MCS certified in your own right in one place. The industry years ago, it used to be quite difficult when you were coming, say, from gas or oil to figure out what you needed. So we've packaged that together, and within that we have the level 3 heat pump course in ground source and air source technologies. We have the SIPI low temperature heating design course in there. We have Nibe specific product training also within that, because each manufacturer's equipment's different. Everyone has a different control strategy or requirements. So we also do a bit about our kit so that our installers are comfortable and competent on it. And then we'll also do sort of a self-learning module on MCS compliance and a little bit on QMS to try and put everything into one place. Then basically, once those installers have got their qualifications in place, and once they've done their first Nibe installation, we'll arrange for one of our senior engineers to visit site. Couple reasons, really. When I was on tools, I always found it easier to learn from a person than a manual. So I think a senior engineer is really useful to be there for the commissioning, because we can go, actually, no, it's here in the menu, or have you thought of doing this? But we can also then look over the installation to make sure it's compliant, because after that point, they'll be passed to NAPIT for their inspection. And we just want that to be smooth for them. We want to make sure that they don't have any problems that, we want to iron them out beforehand. And then once that inspection's good, NAPIT will come out, do theirs. And then after that, they'll become fully MCS certified. And as part of the process of coming through this, they'll come out with a year's MCS membership and a year's NAPIT membership as well. Things like the cost of the course, it does carry a cost because it's industry recognized qualifications. Basically, the cost of that can be claimed back against 6 Nibe heat pump installations. So really, once they've done their 6 air source, ground source, whatever it is, that course and those qualifications and that registration is technically free to them. So that's for new entrants, you know, guys or girls starting from scratch. And I should also say, as long as they've got, you know, prerequisites, they need to have their existing plumbing qualifications, they need their G3, and they'll need their water regs. If they're an existing, as I said, you know, we have some veteran installers out there that come through to us as well. That, you know, MCS certified, been doing heat pumps for decades, have gone through all of the well, they're already up to speed, should we say. For them, it's a much easier process. We'll book them onto product training because, as I said before, specific product training is really important. We'll take copies of things like their MCS certification, their like consumer code, and insurances, because we basically want all of our installers to sort of be top level and be well-run set up businesses to protect the homeowner. And then once they've done their first installation, we still send a senior engineer to that install to, you know, to inspect it a bit, but also just to, it's good to touch base and it's good to go through the controller with them and them understand our kit a bit more. So we have these like 2 different routes, and we can also be a bit flexible. If somebody's already got like a level 3 in their air source and ground source, they might not need to do that bit, but they still might want to come through the rest of the process on Nibe Academy. So we try and be flexible as best as we can.
Yeah, like you said, each kind of installer and installation business is unique, isn't it? And they might have done anything from once. So your kind of advice, I imagine, to everyone is whether you're interested in it, but you've never worked on a heat pump before at all, or whether you've been doing them forever, it's worth coming to have a chat with you guys to find out how you can help, essentially.
I would say so, and I'd say if they are interested, regardless of where they are in their journey with heat pumps, just to go onto the website and just register interest. There's 2 separate bits. There's a section for like new to the industry wanting to do the whole thing, separate registered little I'm interested form for those guys or girls that are already MCS registered. And yeah, if nothing else, we can have a conversation. We can see what the next steps are, and we can discuss projects as well. So they might have a job they're looking at where they want to do like an air source or a ground source or an exhaust air also in our case. And we can look through that project with them and help them with some product specification and how to implement our products and various other bits and pieces. And we can guide them through that.
We've got Chris Easton, who's training an H&S manager. Chris, can you tell us a bit about your role at Nibe, please?
Yep, so I've been with Nibe now for 14 years. Started off as a field service engineer for Nibe, and then I basically worked through to now become the training and health and safety manager, where I head up the training department and also look after the health and safety requirements of the company.
And then there's quite a big pool, isn't there, in the industry for training, specifically heat pump training, heat pump systems and all that. So what sort of training courses do Nibe offer, and what do the installers learn on those courses?
Yeah, so the installers that come on the training, we have a number of different courses that they can come on, and depending what they're wanting to focus on, we can focus on installation courses. We can then basically focus on service and maintenance. If we've got some companies that want to specifically look at certain things, we can accommodate them through like a bespoke training package, where we just look after the actual product that they're going to be working on. And then we move up to the level 3 industry training, which is through an external training provider, where we then get them certified for that.
And then is there any what sort of engineers are you looking for? Is there a prerequisite? Is it mainly the heating and plumbing engineers? Do they have to have certain qualifications before they come on, or is it a bit more flexible?
Yeah, we predominantly see heating engineers coming through the training centre, just because of the prerequisites for the courses. We're normally looking for water regulations certification or unvented cylinders. Normally electricians, people like that, don't have that qualification. We don't kind of stop them people coming on the training, but we do have to basically just make sure that they are aware that they can come on, and it's just for information only. But yeah, it's just normally the 2 qualifications to get them on there.
And then where do these take place? Is it in person? Where do people have to go?
Yeah, so we've got 3 centres at the moment, and all the training centres that we do have are all specifically built around the latest models. In a couple of the centres, we do have older models still there, so we can then look at doing the service and maintenance training. and things like that. But yeah, we've got 3 at the moment. We've got one in Glasgow, South Lanarkshire. We've got the head office here in Chesterfield, and then we've got another one down in Exeter, in Devon. There is 3 centres. We are currently working with a few other centres based around the southeast area of the country, and we are looking at growing the training centres as we move forward. As the training gets busier, we're going to need to access more areas to basically give a better coverage and access for the installers to come on the training.
And then, like you said, training. We all want more. We all want to get the guys trained up who aren't. But then you need good trainers to do that. So what's the kind of background and experience of the Nibe trainers to pass their knowledge on?
Yeah, so we are all industry-led trainers. I mean, me personally, I went straight into the heating sector from leaving school, and I've been a heating engineer all my life, and then moved into renewables around 2010. Alan, one of our other trainers, he's led a similar background, but he focused more on underfloor heating. We've got another trainer that again has been in a very similar background, but moved into the refrigeration and heat pumps. And then we've got another trainer that is basically just heating. So we've all come from a very similar background, but we've all also been field engineers as well. So we know the complications on site, we know what to expect. And because of that, we can then give that information over to the students that come on the courses.
And then so heating engineers watching this, or large organisations that want to get their engineers trained up, how does the process work? Where do they go? Who do they talk to?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different ways that you can access it. So namely, the first one is just coming to our training email platform, where they can just email in the requirements. They can go to our website, and on there we've got a training section where they can see all the courses that we currently do and all the available dates, and then they can also then contact training just to show their interest, and then we just kick the ball off from there basically.
And we've also got Jerry. Jerry, can you tell us about your role at Nibe, please?
Hi Joe, yeah, my name's Jerry Gorman. I'm the National Sales Manager for New Build. So I've been at Nibe for a few months now, and settling in on my feet under the table and enjoying my time.
Yeah, so you're relatively newcomer to the business. Where do you see the growth areas for Nibe in the UK?
Well, I think there's huge potential to increase our market share in the new homes category. Decarbonising heat has a crucial role to play, clearly, in achieving net zero carbon by 2050. And recent reports are indicating that the heating buildings is contributing to a massive 30% of the UK's carbon dioxide emissions. So with a government long-standing target of new homes to the tune of 300,000 a year, it's pretty clear to see that heat pumps will have a large part to play in that transition to net zero. So therefore, we feel that Nibe is perfectly placed to help house builders achieve their sustainability goals with nearly 45 years pedigree of manufacturing heat pump technology and experience. So combining that with being the Europe's market leader puts us in a fantastic position to become a major player in the market.
Yeah, no, it's exciting times as well. And obviously, when you're talking about house builders, when you can build things from the ground up, you can then it lends itself to heat pump technology, isn't it? Because you can size things, you can put the rads in, you can do the heat loss. Yeah. So what can you do as the manufacturer to help house builders on that kind of heat pump adoption and decarbonisation journey?
Yeah, well, it's really important actually. That we have a sort of tried and tested standard specification process that we follow. But it is tailored to each and every house builder's individual requirements. So it's focused on four key areas that we help the developer with. That's design, training, commissioning, and then after sales. So that process sort of starts at the design stage. So we will take the drawings from the developer into our design in-house design guys. And what they'll do is take that and create a bespoke design package for that property or for that development. but it's absolutely key to get that correct from the word go, to ensure that we've got the best chance of the best results at the end of the day. So installer training is also very key, as that can have an implication on the installation. Could also lead to product issues and even performance gaps, resulting in just pretty much a poor experience for everybody involved. So our process and partnership with the developers doesn't end there, because we will commit to having planned on-site visits with the installer. We'll meet the installer and the house builder both at first fix and second fix stages, just to make sure that everybody's happy with the way the product is installed, site agent is comfortable, and everybody's in the loop really before the rest of the site is continued. So when the house is actually completed, we'll also come back to site and carry out a final joint visit with the installer and help them with the commissioning to ensure that the product is set up correctly, so it's working to its best capacity, giving best efficiency, and it helps with longevity of life. So after sales again is a very important part of that process. So we have a full comprehensive warranty, and with those 4 key stages having been addressed, then we can be sure that the consumer is going to enjoy the comfort of their own home, and the house builder in turn will have peace of mind that the product is installed properly. If the homeowner wishes to extend the warranty, then Nibe have options for that too.
So what are your kind of 3 things that house builders should take into consideration when specifying heat pumps, when they're putting this sort of kit in?
I think design is absolutely key, without sort of wanting to labour the point. So engagement with our in-house design team at the earliest possibility, the earliest stage of the development is crucial to ensure that things are right from the start. So we need to understand what the specifics of the property are, if there's any particular requirements for that project. We need to understand what the heat loss calculations are, building fabrics, U values, and understand if there's a ventilation and heating strategy, but also we need to understand what the hot water demand for that property looks like, and all that sort of stuff needs to be taken into account. It's absolutely vital to get that information, and it gives us the ability to be able to design a bespoke system for that house. I would say secondly is siting of the product. So we're coming across this more and more now. Consideration needs to be given over the equipment really. So the heat pump, the cylinder, and any ancillary items such as buffer vessels, expansion vessels, they all need to be accommodated in the property. So the architects, engineers and designers need to understand that. And unlike air source heat pumps, exhaust air heat pumps and ground source heat pumps will naturally be sited inside the building. So paying attention to utility room layouts or airing cupboards in particular, in terms of sizing, because they might need to be a bit larger to allow installation of the product, and then allow access for servicing after installation. And I think probably the third most important thing is installers and training. I know we've sort of touched on this previously, but appointing the installer sooner rather than later is critical, because once we get the installer on board, we can get them onto one of our training programs. So one of our policies at Nibe is that our heat pumps must be installed by a Nibe trained installer. So even those that have installed others' heat pumps, each manufacturer has their own nuances. So we want to make sure that our installers are fully up to speed with all aspects of our product. But it's a two-way thing, because there are some USPs of our products and backup support available to the installer from Nibe. So it's a two-way thing really. But we believe our product and commissioning training is best in class, and therefore have a number of training centres nationwide, to enable us to facilitate that.
And then what's your kind of advice for house builders if they haven't done this before, or if they're looking to it and they're a bit maybe hesitant? Is it just essentially to get in touch with you and then discuss their requirements and how you can plug into it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, we're happy to talk to any developer about project. We've got a wide range of technologies that are, we have PV panels, we have exhaust air systems, we have air source heat pumps and ground source. So, there'll be a solution through one of those 4 technologies to suit most applications. So yeah, just get on board with us and we can share our expertise. We've been in it a long time, and we're happy to to help house builders along.
We've got Michael, who's head of technical at Nibe. Michael, could you tell us a bit about your role and what you do at Nibe, please?
Yeah, so I'm Michael Dunworth. I'm head of technical at Nibe Energy Systems UK. I'm currently responsible for overseeing the internal technical engineers and also external technical field service engineers. And we cover support and technical diagnosis, whether it be internal or remotely, for our internal engineers and also installers and consumers alike.
So you guys are the ones manning the hotlines whenever there's a question or an issue. They're on the phone to you and your team.
Exactly that, yeah, and then that's for our internal engineers again, as well as the installers out there installing our products.
So what responsibility do you feel that manufacturers have when it comes to their installer and specification customers?
I think we have a significant responsibility towards for installers as well as field service engineers, whether they're predominantly working for the installers or our own installers. It's to provide a high level service for these for our products. We need to ensure that they've got the best training, best tools, and fundamentally the catalogue of product information, whether that's relevant or historic as well, because we've got a lot of kit out there that's still been serviced and maintained, of which they need support for. So it's not just about the current products. We also provide a high level support for existing products out there.
Yeah, it's about the lifetime of it, isn't it? Like you said, we talk a lot about heat pump targets and installs, but it's got to last, a long time after that. And if there are any problems, they want you to pick up the phone and they want it to be diagnosed.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I mean, whether it be fault codes, whether it be installation, whether it's historic or whether it's servicing and they've gone out for breakdowns. And again, that's regarding internal engineers and also current installers out there.
So regarding the Nibe field service engineers, how is that team structured?
Okay, so we've currently got a team of 10 external field service engineers, of which we've got 4 senior engineers and a technical supervisor, and they're responsible and located countrywide to attend and diagnose and support into warranty issues, as well as site support for installers as well. We dispatch engineers to provide on-site support for installs, bringing new installers on, and helping them with their first installs, or and so forth. So yeah, they're situated countrywide. They're also got the high level equipment, vehicles, to be able to do that and to be dispatched as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
And like we've kind of been talking about it all day, but for installers and specifiers and people who might not have been working with heat pumps before, it's a bit of a kind of leap of faith or something that they want to do. You're kind of the safety net, and your kind of message to these people is, when it's all installed, whatever help you need at the start, we're here to help. If anything goes wrong, we're here to help. If there's any change, we're here to help. So you're that kind of consistent customer facing, I suppose.
Exactly that, yeah. I mean, certainly for installers, like you say, it can be quite daunting. Maybe the first installation, they've got a predominant background in whether it's boilers installations or heating systems or even F-gas or refrigeration sort of approach. So us being that bridge and that safety net for them to have the information to be available when they need that support, whether it's something simple as a wiring query right up to something might be plumbing or heating, we can advise and support them with them installations.
And that kind of coming to the end of the session. So, Paul, where would you like to see Nibe going in the future?
So looking ahead, we have a comprehensive long-range plan to ensure that we're ready to tackle the market as it is and the market where we all would like it to be. And the vision that we have here encompasses really several key strategic points. So expanding market presence is very important to us. We want to significantly expand the market presence in the UK, and that'll involve increasing awareness of the heat pumps and the heat pump solution, not only to the industry and to the installers, but to homeowners, to do that myth busting. And I think we've done that very well in the past, but it's really something that we need to accelerate as the market itself accelerates. We've also got to be really agile in our approach in the ever-changing market. As I said at the beginning, I've been here for 7 months now, and whether it's through policy or different initiatives, you can already see subtle changes. So whatever the plan is, we have to remain agile to ensure that we stay on track. The customer-centric approach, so the customer is at the heart of everything we do, and that's irrespective of what is classed as a customer. So that could be an installer or a partner who we sell the heat pump to, or it could be about supporting the homeowner, who ultimately it's the Nibe name that's on the box, that's on the side of the house, or in a plant room, or in a cupboard. So we have to be seen to support that customer, whoever they are. An example of that is recently we have opened a dedicated homeowner line, and that's in addition to the best-in-class support that we already have in place to support our installers. Driving innovation and sustainability, of course, for a multi-billion-pound global brand such as Nibe is incredibly important to us, and we're continuously investing in R&D to ensure that the products that are brought to market match the needs of the UK, and that they perform in the best possible way to ensure that we transition to that low carbon future a lot more quickly. We need to enhance the support infrastructure. It's quite a wide statement there, but in a nutshell, what that means is we need to enhance our level of training centres that we have, the amount of trainers that we have, the amount of after-sales support that we give with regionalised service engineers, increasing the number of internal technical support engineers for that increase in demand. And we've also onboarded over 40 service partners in the last couple of months, really we have one eye on what's now, of course, but we really need to look ahead and into the future, and that's a fundamental part of what we do. And then last but not least is the education and awareness. Something that Nibe have done historically very well is the upskilling of the market, the education of the installers, and that really is something that we look to consider. So those are several key points there to our vision, and our vision is encapsulated in this, which is to be the brand of choice in the UK market for customers and for our people.
No, thank you very much. It's very exciting time. So thank you for your time today, Paul, and for your team for joining us and taking through what you guys do. And thank you everyone for joining us. This is going to be available to watch on demand. So as soon as we finish, it's going to turn into a catch-up button. So you can pause it, rewind it, go back and all that sort of stuff. Also, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from viewing it, if you just send them the link, they can register and watch it all back on demand as well. So thank you, Paul and your team, for your time today. And thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Joe.